أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لأهله والصلاة على أهلها وسلام على من اتبع الهدى السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. After proving the necessity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the necessary existence, it is not just enough for us to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by this concept of necessary existence. Therefore, we must bring 2 points which will have a distinguishment of the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the possible existences with other existences. Or we need to differentiate this necessary existence from its creation. By doing so, we need to provide 2 standing points here, which is the negative attributes of this necessary existence and also the positive attributes of this necessary existence. By establishing the 2 points, the 2 factors of these positive attributes and negative attributes, we are going to classify this necessary existence to be glorified from anthropomorphic temperaments, which we can say to distinguish him from the humanistic behaviors and humanistic values. This is by establishing the negative attributes. The other point is by establishing the positive attributes. We are going to have the lay foundation within the necessary existence that there is a recognition that it is only this necessary existence, it is only Allah who is worthy to be worshipped. And with this principle, with this understanding of the positive attributes of the necessary existence, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are going to realize other principles like prophethood. It will be proven with this. Resurrection, it will be proven by this. And other branches of belief, they are going to be proven by this principle of understanding that the positive attributes are within the necessary existence, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By these 2 points, which is positive attributes and negative attributes, we have establishment of these 2 things. You have the question in your mind, who is worthy to be worshipped? You'll see that it is the necessary existence, because the necessary existence was proven to be the existence that does not need anything to exist. And this is the existence that will never be annihilated, not depending upon anything else. So we are going to realize by these positive attributes that he is worthy to be worshipped. And the other thing, by applying the negative attributes to this necessary existence to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are going to realize that he is different from all his creations. All the creations that he created, he is different and he is free from anthropomorphic. By this philosophical understanding, by this philosophical argument, we come to realize that God, Allah, is never with a beginning. He is without any beginning, meaning that he does not have an antecedent of non-existence. And also the second point, we come to realize that God is without an end, meaning that Allah at any time is not going to be a non-existent. These 2 characteristics, these 2 attributes that we can add to the necessary existence, they will result in us having a connection of an epithet understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is in line with the eternity and the sempiternity. This means that Allah is without an end and Allah is without a beginning. Therefore, it proves that every existence that has got the history of non-existence and that has got the possibility to be extinct is not a necessary existence, and it can never be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So looking at those two attributes and looking at these two qualities, which is without end and without a beginning, most of these possible existences, I can just say all of these possible existences, they have these two attributes, which is having the beginning and having an end. Take for instance, you as a human being, you have the beginning and you have an end caused by your parents. So this cannot be applied to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This cannot be given to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because there is a history in the past of the beginning and the possibility of an ending. Another essentiality and another essence that can be understood from the necessary existence within what has been discussed and what has been talked about here, we are going to realize and we are going to understand that this necessary existence is invincible and is separate from other visible possible existences. And it will tell us that there is no sense of materiality within the necessary existence, because the corporeality of possible existences is going to be sensed through the senses and also is going to be seen through the naked eyes. When we apply the senses and the eyes to the necessary existence, then it means we are reducing this necessary existence to the level of the effects which are caused by this absolute necessary existence. And that tells us that with this necessary existence, there is no limitation of time and space. With this necessary existence, there is no movement, growth, and other things that might be seen or might be sensed to be the corporeality of existence. Why? Because the necessary existence is separate and invincible. This is within the essence of this necessary existence, which might result for us to understand in such way. The statements mentioned here, they clarify and at the same time nullify the belief of those people who believe that God sits on the throne. Allah sits on the throne. He descends from heaven to earth and he can be seen by the naked eyes. This concept is disqualified and is nullified totally based upon what has been talked about and what has been proven about this necessary existence. We understand that he is invincible and he is separate from all the corporeality that is within possible existences. Generally speaking, we can say that every indication that indicates the imperfection of the necessary existence and the annihilation of the necessary existence and also the corporeality of the necessary existence is negated. Why? Because it is considered to be the negative attribute. We understand that Allah is the cause that bestows existence. This is what should be in our minds. Why? Because Allah is the absolute cause. Now, for us to understand the cause that bestows existence, we also need to understand
other types of causes that philosophy has mentioned. There are some causes which are called preparatory causes, and sometimes just the mere causes of something. We can give it in an example of a seed. When we plant a seed, the farmer plants a seed and we put it into the soil. For it to come out of the soil to grow into a plant or into vegetation, there are some causes which happened here. They are just the preparations of this seed to come out, to germinate. This makes us understand that there's one point which is the preparatory cause that is there. But the essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to prepare this seed by the help of who? The farmer. By the help of what? The environment. By the help of what? The soil. Without the influence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Him being the necessary existence and Him being the absolute cause, there is never going to be the growth of this seed, even though the farmer plants it. Even though there might be good environment for it. Even though there might be good rainfall for it. But it is not going to come out and to grow according to the way it has to come out. This means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Him being the absolute cause, has the influence on anything that happens in this dunya, in this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot be left out. That is why Allah is called the cause that bestows existence.
When it is understood and it is put into our minds that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the necessary existence, He is the existence that bestows other existences, meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a cause. There are three things that are going to come on board. There are three things that are going to be in the mind of a person that intellectually thinks and realizes. The first thing is Allah being the cause, the absolute cause of all the causes or all the effects. There must be complete perfections in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that helps to make the effect to move, to grow, and to be in existence. The second point is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the cause that bestows existence, He is the one that brings an effect from non-existence. Number three, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the reality that makes all the possible existences to be possible and to exist around them and to have it all within ourselves. This makes us understand that the theologians that have the concept and that have this mental concept within themselves that this world is left alone to operate on its own, does not have any influence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we negate those statements. And also we negate the points of some of the philosophers, for example the Western philosophers that say that this world is just like a clock which was wound and it was left to operate on its own. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, though He is invincible, though He is separate, though He is not seen by the corporeal or the naked eyes, He is not within the corporeality of this life, has got an influence with whatever that happens and with whatever that is around us in this dunya. So Allah cannot be left out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala an-nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima.